Warm greetings. Welcome to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted with the support of Water Resources Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is WIKI WRC, and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and media partner Counterview. My name is Mansi Bal Bhargav, and I'm currently National President of the WIKI Water Resource Council. And to be honest, the term just got ended in December end. And I'm also the founding director of W4W Foundation. We are glad to do this conversation, namely Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we co-equally refer to as Blue Lips. The conversation is aimed to share the worries, the wisdom by the woman, for the woman, of the woman in the water sector. And in here, we hope to learn about the water endeavors of the woman in regular disciplined manner, like a master class. So far, we have had already 95 sessions covering over 120 women, young water enthusiasts, seasoned water players, water entrepreneurs or hydropreneurs, as you may like to call it. And this is part of a long-term research conducted to understand the life of women and also to acknowledge and appreciate the contribution women make in the water sector. We will close the series, as we call it series, in 100 sessions. And I'm very pleased to announce that Medha Patkar or Medha Tai has agreed to do the 100 session to do the valedictory. Today, for this session, we have Dr. Jayati Chaure to share with us her life journey. And what is interesting about her and all our previous speakers is that when we talk about water, we are actually talking about many aspects of water and how women have been looking at water in different ways. And it's really honor to bring Jayati here, who has a degree, PhD degree in ecosystem-based and integrated water resource management from Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal, and Forest Research Institute, University, Dehradun. And she has her master's degree in limnology, and water is a subject which remains close to her heart and core of her professional life. She has over 2 decades of professional work, and I'm keeping it short so that we can actually have a discussion on Jayati's career path through her not only resume, but also her personal endeavors in this professional path. Obviously, she has a long resume, and at present, she is also the executive director of Saki Waters at Hyderabad. And she's been a close friend to me for this W4W series, which we are running at Wednesdays for water. And she has also run the biodiversity series with us in there. Thank you, Jayati, for agreeing to do this session. I know I have been stalking you for over a year to have this session with you. And I hope you don't mind, because I really wanted to have you in the 100 women we would like to, right? Just to keep you informed that we are live and also we are recording to make it part of the series. And the second output which we are hoping from this work is to write a small coffee table book once we are close to 100. We already have researcher writing the essays, short book, for distributing it to as many people as possible so that we create more role models like all of you. We are going to have a very candid conversation. The method is called autoethnography. So it's your life and my pen in putting in a very nice way. So if you are ready, we can start the conversation.
Yeah, sure, Mansi, and thank you so much for inviting me to this session. It's truly an honor, and I'm glad to be here. I know I have made you waited for some personal reasons, and I apologize for that. But I'm really glad that I'm able to join it today.
Okay, so I would like to take you back some years ago, probably your bachelor's, master's, high school, primary school. I have no clue. But to understand from you when you got this inclination to work around water subject, life sciences, when was it? Was it something which came naturally, or was it something which you really wanted to do, or you got influenced? How was it with you?
Yeah, so Mansi, for me, that moment of belonging to water sector was not a sudden one. Um, Means it wasn't a single moment, but it has been a journey that slowly brought me here. So sometimes, like it feels like I have simply surrendered myself to allow myself to flow with the river. Uh, because it has been quite unplanned, I would say. So I think it started in my childhood. It feels like a deep, long connection, almost as if when I look back, I see that how everything has quietly shaped this path. So, interestingly, I would like to share that I was born and brought up in Bhopal, and Bhopalis take pride, great pride in calling it the city of lakes. And I also belong to a community called Narmadiya that lives along the Narmada River belt. And we always worship that river, and every day. Like even since my childhood, we recited Narmada Ashtak every day. So that practice as a child taught me to respect rivers and water as a living entities. And also, this Union Carbide Bhopal gas tragedy. So
Yes.
yeah, so I was very small that time, and then I used to hear that people are saying that this lake saved New Bhopal from this poisonous gas. Yeah, so all these stories, beliefs, and lived experiences stayed with me, and shaped how I relate to water. Because for me, it's not just a resource, but as something deeply alive and protective. And yeah, about my professional journey. So if I look at my this whole life journey in two phases, personal and professional. So my journey begins with uh, my professional journey begins with when I joined this master's program at Department of Limnology, and Department of Limnology. I think still. That time it was the only department which offered masters in MSc program in limnology, and excuse me. And the year when I completed my bachelor's in life sciences, this department has advertised this program. So that year they introduced specialization in aquatic environmental sciences. So I found it very fascinating. So then there were like people who told me that it becomes a very niche subject, so don't go for it. But then I had decided, no, I want to go ahead because I really love this topic. And so I'm now, like, when I look back, I feel I'm so glad that I made that decision. So this is how my, like, formally my journey as a water professional started. So I don't know how much is the time, because this is just a beginning. The real part still has to
Yes.
come. uh,
Very well put. That this is just a beginning. And it is so much that we can relate that the more we drown ourselves into the subject of water, the more fascinating it gets.
yeah,
And you may have seen the way I am excited about the biodiversity series you run for us at W for W. I feel it is the most exciting part because I get bored talking about humans. But anyway, here we are talking about a human, which is a woman. That
yeah,
brings me to the next question, actually. And I would like to ask you, do you also carry that superwoman syndrome as most of us have been doing? Because on one side, we have our passion, on another side, we have our profession, then there is third thing, which is the family. And
yeah,
because we have been closely working with each other on this series, we are also talking on personal fronts about families, and there are very few of us who have been really lucky to bring our passion and profession together. I mean, we are among those lucky people who could do this together. Not all of us had that opportunity, but still there is one more pillar which remains, which is the family. How is Jayati has learned her tricks to run a very
yeah.
balanced life, or what is the
Uh,
mantra of Jayati which you want to share with younger people so that they are not worried about running all three together?
Yeah, so Mansi, before we come to that point where we talk about like how I balance my work life and family. So when I said that it's just a beginning, I wanted you to be ready with a, like, like another chapter of my life, because that
Oh,
is
sorry. Go
more
ahead.
important, which actually in like shaping me
Mm.
as a professional. So, can I take just 5 minutes?
Please go ahead. Take me back. I'm always happy
Yeah,
to
because
be
that
in the
part is more
story time. You know,
interesting. Yeah.
that's the best time.
So that's actually more interesting part of my life. I always call it like golden phase of my life.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was when I uh, went to Vishakhapatnam, because when I was doing my master's program, we had a semester system. So in the
Mm.
last semester, we had this option of joining or different institutions and carry out your 6 monthly dissertation. So I went to Vishakhapatnam, which is also called City of Destiny. So in my case, that turned out to be quite true. So that was the actually turning point in my life when I went to Vishakhapatnam. So there I was placed at the Department of Environmental Sciences in Andhra University, and I chose to work on a wetland called Kondakarla Ava wetland.
Wow.
So
Mm.
that's around 50 kilometers from the city. It's in a like remote rural area where you have this lake, and then you have 17 villages which are dependent on that lake. So, and I'm happy to share that now that wetland is becoming the first conservation reserve in Andhra Pradesh. So,
Wow.
yeah, so during my MSc, I focused on ecotourism. But while I was working on that wetland, that rural wetland, I developed a deeper personal connection with that place. And that experience made me decide to stay back in Vishakhapatnam and work towards its conservation. So, when I was working for my dissertation, I realized that my responsibility as a researcher or as a student doesn't end with submitting a report or giving a list of recommendation,
Oh, well
but
put.
I must do something. That's my duty. I must do something about it. So something deeper shifted for me with all these experience. So I must say that that wetland became a living laboratory for me, where I truly learned what we call integrated water resources management. Because when I went to Visakhapatnam, I was still an ecologist. So I was thinking about like only studying ecological aspects, and that time this phytoremediation was
Mm.
something new. So I was also interested in that. So when I started writing my synopsis for PhD, initially like I included ecological assessment, then phytoremediation, and then I kept on including things as I was like working in those areas. So there actually, when I was working with the communities, I saw the challenges. I saw different kind of conflicts, because you had different kind of lake users. You had upstream, downstream, and there was a lot of conflicts between the communities. We could see that they are like vulnerable, who actually depend on these lakes, and then they are least contributing to its degradation, but then they are the one who suffered most. So I realize what is like participate, why it should be participatory and why it should be interdisciplinary. So motivated by all this, I formed this youth action group called
Mm.
Shubhda. By engaging local youth, so I started working with those local youth, and then we started to discussing all these issues with local communities, fisher folk, farmers, and other user groups. This was a very different kind of experience for me, a lived experience, because I never went there just as a like PhD scholar or as a like researcher. I went there because that time it's like long back. I'm talking about like 20 years back. We didn't have like good connectivity. We that time we didn't have any hotel or stay accommodation there, and it was like some 50 kilometers away from my university. So I for socioeconomic surveys and environmental awareness program and all. I used to stay there. So I've stayed there for months together. And sometimes like they had uh, like very basic housing with no toilets, no proper drinking water. So uh, it was a very, as a girl, because that time I was like just 23 years old. So that experience has shaped the way I look at this water resources management. Because when I was doing my PhD, my thinking was restricted to, my vision was restricted to only laboratory. But when I shifted to Vishakhapatnam, it gave me a like much large exposure.
Larger laboratory, the
Yeah, a
nature.
big living laboratory. So I started working with these fishermen and all these groups. We used to do a lot of environmental awareness and then also negotiations between whenever they had any conflict. So my professor was very supportive. He used to
Mm.
encourage me. Professor Kameshwara Rao, he was also my co-supervisor. And then I'm really grateful to some of the like NGOs there. I had Vishwam sir, I call him Vishwam sir. So he also supported me. He used to actually give me some financial support because I used to do it all. I didn't have any fellowship or anything, but I used to do it from whatever little money I was earning by working at the department. So like I was staying in a hostel that costed 1200 rupees. So whatever was remaining, I used to spend on these conservation activities. So interestingly, yeah, so actually it was like a great learning experience for me because working
Mm.
directly with the community. So I just want to share one incident because initially when I was working, I also started working in schools. So we started this culture of celebrating World Wetlands Day in those schools. But sometimes I used to get this self doubt that what's the point of working with these children? It's better to invest energy and time in working or motivating these adults because they are the like direct users. But one day when I visited that school, so one small boy he came running and then. Uh, uh, he had written a very beautiful essay on wetland describing its water, like birds, plants, the whole biodiversity. So that actually moment changed my perspective because then I realized that why working with children mattered. Because they are
Yes.
the future users and they will not only think about what they can earn from a lake, but also about how to value it for all
Yes.
other forms of life that depend on it. Because when we had meetings with the adult, they always talked that how to increase yield of fish.
Yes,
Yeah.
the ecosystem value, in the name of ecosystem value,
Yeah.
it's all how much to appropriate.
Yeah, so adults were actually totally interested in that how they can get more income from that lake, not only fishermen but also farmers and all. So like there are many interesting stories when I went there for my first sampling for my PhD. I carried some 16, 17 water cans and all those bags for soil, sediments, plants, macrophytes. But when I went there, I saw that's a like very big lake. It's second largest freshwater lake in Andhra Pradesh after Kolleru. It's not as big as Kolleru, but it's still second largest freshwater lake. To my surprise or shock, there was not even a single drop of water in that lake. And it was, yeah, I was like,
And you
what?
went to collect a
Oh,
sample.
yeah, I from like, because there was no direct transport and I was a student, so I couldn't afford a cab and also I used to take RTC complex like bus, then auto, then walk. And then while I reached there, there was no water. I could not imagine because just 1 month ago it was all water, and suddenly you go to a lake and you see no water. Then we realized that that year only they launched this minor irrigation system in one of the
So all the
villages.
water.
So there was, since it was like very first time, there was no regulation. They just pumped out all the water. So that actually gave this, like, brought this angle to my doctoral research, that how to, because see, I can talk about ecology, I can talk about how to address pollution and all, but till you don't address these kind of issues, managerial issues or community related issues,
It's
you
all
cannot
about that
do
actually
that.
in water.
Yeah.
It's not
And
about
then, yeah,
ecology then.
and that actually created a conflict between what fishermen, farmers, and also between upstream farmers and downstream farmers, because this water was like is also supplied to 11 downstream farmers. So if upstream are taking away everything, then nothing is left for them. So there was like protest and all that. So I experienced all that, and then I helped with this negotiation. So that I included that in my thesis also, because initially it was like hardcore scientific research, but then it also had these angles, because I realized things cannot happen until communities are involved and they see value in it. Because see, you need to have certain level of water which can actually, because see, especially the most vulnerable ones are fishermen, because
Mm.
others can still use groundwater like farmers. If there's no water, no fish. So that's how actually that's what taught me what we say integrated water resources management and all those terminologies. So when I completed my PhD, I got these two offers. One was from an organization based in Delhi, one in Hyderabad, Saki Waters. Because this is my second stint. I joined Saki Waters in 2008. That was my first job. So I chose Saki Waters because Hyderabad is closer to Vishakhapatnam, Kondakerala. So I still felt that, okay, whenever needed, I can just go there. So I'm not moving away from this wetland. So
Your first love.
yeah. So when I joined Saki Waters, then you won't believe because all these terminologies were new that time, integrated water
Mm.
resources management and all those things. But I learned it from the ground. And when I
Mm.
came to Saki Waters, I read all this material because I was working on readers. So I was taken for this readers on ecosystems, water and ecosystem. uh, so then I saw, okay, there are like particular terms for these. So then I kept actually, because I joined Sakyavatas after finishing my first draft. You won't believe I kept on it for one more year I just kept updating all these terms.
Yeah.
Okay, this term also for this phenomena. So because because I come from ecological background, so I got exposure about these socioeconomic and like a lot of other aspects of water. So this is how it was. So for my this effort, I was also awarded by this Vrikshamitra Kannan Srinivas Rao Award in the district, Vishakhapatnam district. So that award was for a bit senior environmentalist who are like well established. So when they wanted to give this award to me, so then they thought that others might get offended. So then they created a new category called like for students. So
For
I was the
youth or
first one.
students.
Yeah. So for first time they awarded it to a student. And then I also received this Ford Foundation funded Environmental Equity and Justice Partnership. It's called EEJP Fellowship. So as part of that fellowship, means this fellowship helped me to form wetland village level wetland management committees in
Wow.
surrounding villages. So I formed these. Like I formed 10 wetland development committees with the communities. So this is like
It
how.
can keep flowing and flowing and flowing. Since then, you are flowing. But how interesting it is, and why why we ask this question, because I know this question takes people really so long back, and they get emotional about it,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this
emotional.
this conversation is also a reflection about your own self, and that is also the feedback we have received from most of our speakers, that first actually they are reluctant to speak of on this platform, but when they finish the conversation, they think, this was important to come back, because there are not many situations when you can narrate this a beautiful story. For me, it is a story. For you, it is a lived experience. And of course, for the younger generation who are going to listen to you, is also a story, you know. And I think these things matter, because when I started, uh, I had no clue what is the word limnology, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I was working on lakes for both my bachelor's and master's thesis, no clue about that there is a word called limnology, there is a word called ornithology or ichthyology coming from architecture planning.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Anyway,
when we in our department, when we used to tell anyone that okay, we are doing limnology, they'll not. First of all, they'll not get the word. They will think whether it's criminology. What is this? Then I'll explain that okay, it's just like oceanography. Oceanography is about ocean, and this is about inland. So it's ecology of inland water bodies. So that's how. So
there
here,
are beautiful concepts like this.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, I want to bring the conversation back to Jayati. We are not talking about limnology here and not talking about water and wetland. But what
Yes.
is very interesting, and which is again reflected in your conversation, is, and please pardon me because I have to keep the research focused around you and, of course, around your
No,
work.
yeah.
Pardon me if I am cutting you sometime in between.
No,
Uh,
no. So after that, this journey, actually, the professional journey started. So I was with Saki Water
and now you
for
are again
five
with Saki
years. Then,
Waters.
yeah, then Symbiosis. So I was for some time I was at Symbiosis. So there also they had this 2 years masters in environment and energy and environment. So there I developed this course in integrated water resources management. Then another interesting part is like when I went to Djibouti in Africa. So that's also I think like it's a one of it's not exactly sub-Saharan, but still it has like some part is part of sub-Saharan. So it's like most of the part are desert, but there also I got to work on water. So I somehow feel it's a like destiny because there also I got to work on ocean. So here I was working on freshwater, but there I got to work on ocean because it has got beautiful ocean. So I worked on corals, fish, and then mangroves. So that was another experience, like for 3 years, and then
Then Sundarbans, you have Sundarbans in your
yeah, yeah,
life.
Sundarban. So that's what I'm saying. That see, each point was uh, I'm like actually fortunate enough to get this kind of diverse exposure because
Yes.
like when I started my journey, it was like hardcore ecology, then communities, then livelihoods, then your education, then your sustainability, ESG related assignments, and then now I'm working with like women in Sundarbans. So, we never think something as sensitive as menstrual health because we always relate water with, means I'm also relating it with biodiversity, but now I realize that, yeah, means I'm considering humans also as part of this ecosystem. So, something which we never actually, it never occurs to us that uh, because we when we talk about water for communities, we always talk about water for drinking, but
Hmm.
we never feel that women have different kind of requirements. We just generalize, we say communities, but we never think it's never there in our planning that women need more water for managing their
Everyday
menstrual
life. Hmm.
hygiene. Yeah, menstrual hygiene. So there in Sundarbans now, I'm working on this menstrual issue. So we have a very uh, like eye-opening opener kind of documentary, The Bleeding Tides. Maybe if someone
Hmm.
wants, it's available on waterbear.com.
Hmm.
So you can see that how this climate change is impacting women in a very different way. And there you see that it's a like very classic case of environmental injustice because people in remote areas, in islands, they hardly use any energy, and then they are the one means they contribute the least to this and climate change thing, and then they are the
impacted
at the
most.
front line of impact. So every time I'm actually getting to learn new things, and I'm a field person, so still I go to field whenever there's a like a research project or study. I make sure that I go there once. Otherwise, I don't feel confident. So I'm a field person. I make sure that okay, team is working, but I also make sure that I go because I don't want to miss that opportunity to learn. Every day
Hmm.
is a new learning for me when I'm
And
in
also,
field.
yes, also with this diversification of experience you had, and you actually brought us to the next question, which I had already asked, but I will repeat it again. Because one of the reasons which kept many women away from the water sector is the field work and the very notion of water as an engineering part. But whereas people like you and me and many of us in of course from engineering is also required, but we have explored water from sociology, from biodiversity, limnology, and ichthyology, and on and on and on, algology, and all sorts of things. As a field person, and I'm just rotating the question in a little bit different way, how is it for Jayati to really balance this work life? I use actually three words: passion, profession, and family. And as I already mentioned, that we are one of those fortunate people, few fortunate women who have passion and profession put together and always ready to put on our boots and go to the field. You know, how
Yeah.
is it, Jayati, for Jayati, that you are managing all of it put together and still keeping that wonderful smile and happy about life? Is there any mantra that we can learn from you?
Yeah. So, Mansi, I would say, because I'm talking about all sort of experience. So, because sometimes I feel if I tell everyone that I have done this also, I've worked in the lab, I've worked with the communities, I've done ESG assignment, I've worked for consultancy for World Bank. So, it sounds like Gen Z CV resume
Yeah,
because when they
resume,
yeah,
but these are
when they
lived
when they
experiences.
send their resume, like even when they are like in the final year of their master, it reads like they have done everything. They have edited books, they have worked with the communities, and also I don't want to sound like that, but I'm fortunate enough to have this kind of diverse experience. Like,
Yeah, but you also have body of years. It's
yeah.
not like overnight
Yeah,
that you
so
have given
I
your
have
life.
this kind of experience professionally, but I would also means like to share that I also have diverse experience in my personal life. It was not all continuous because
Yes.
I was away from this regular job for 5 good 5 years. It was not like just 5 months or maternity leave, but I have done that. So that's what like when I have my female colleague here, I and when they have to prioritize things, I always say that, okay, see, both the things are important. Career is important and your family is also important. So, when I was working with Symbiosis, so that time I got pregnant, and a Symbiosis job was also not that easy for me.
Of course.
Because you know why? Because when I was here, I was in Sakyavatas. I was working for this project called Crossing Boundaries. It was on capacity building in interdisciplinary water resources management with a special focus on gender inclusion. So that was the like last year when my husband shifted to Mumbai. So I was alone here in Mumbai, sorry, in Hyderabad. So when I shifted, I joined him in Mumbai. Uh, I again didn't want to actually stay in some other city in Pune. So I thought, okay, I'll travel every day. So I used to travel 220
What?
kilometers every day. So I did
Wow.
that. And that time, now I see like things are better, I think more enabling because you have option of working from home, remote working. But back
It's
that time,
only
like
post
10 years,
COVID, by the way. It's
yeah,
only post
thanks to
COVID.
COVID, that acceptability has increased. So but 15 years back or like 10 years back, it was not possible. So that's why I had to resign from here, and then I shifted there, and then I joined Symbiosis because I found it really interesting. And then because during Crossing Boundaries project, I was working with all the universities. So I was also inspired to join a university. So I got this opportunity. So I didn't want to leave it. So I was also I decided, okay, I'll manage both. I'll stay in Mumbai and travel every day there. So I used to travel by this expressway. I was living near like Kharghar, which is the last point of Mumbai, and then from there you start your expressway. So I was not able to go by this normal buses because in between you have Lonavala, Khandala. So every time people they come, no, they come with this touristic mindset. They'll go away for 40 minutes, half an hour. So every day I can't spend so much. So I used to go by this shared taxis because they go very fast. But at the same time, they were not safe. But I
Mm.
continued that. But then after like when I realized that I was pregnant, then I had to stop. So for some time when I was pregnant, I was traveling very far. So that actually had impact on my health also because I was not aware. So, and then that was for women, actually, that's a dilemma because that time also my career was, that time was at peak. I was at such a renowned institution, working as a core faculty, and then this thing happened. But then I could not wait for this also because I was already, my biological clock was clicking. So then
Yes.
it's not like individual. I'm sorry, I'm sharing this all because
No,
this
but this is
happened.
important
This
because
is,
these are many things that actually keeps many women
yeah,
decide, and we all have reached that stage sometime in life.
yeah.
Have to
So
decide.
yeah, so since I was traveling and then that impacted my health. So I was like on for quite some time. I was on bed rest. I was hospitalized during my pregnancy for 3 months. So I was in the
Wow.
hospital for 3 months. So then after that, I decided to resign from Symbiosis because I thought it's not a good idea that I live away from, like, with a baby away from family. So I decided to resign. And another reason was because we were in Mumbai and both the parents working will not be actually right thing to do for the
For the
baby because
baby.
there it takes a lot of time and commuting itself take your 3-4 hours. So then I decided to take this motherhood break. But I don't regret because I feel that everything is important in your life.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I gave sufficient time to my like my career before I took this break. So I was not very uh, like unhappy about it. I felt good about it because could spend some quality time with my child because I wanted to be with him till he starts speaking, talking, so that because you hear stories that nannies are not good and like all sort of scary stories. So I decided to prioritize family that time. So 5 years I was not working, but at the same time, it was not like complete disconnect. I
Yes.
was connected thanks to Facebook and LinkedIn, and also I was volunteering. I took a voluntary assignment. So I was in like still in touch with the sector, and then I started taking this independent consultancy assignments. So why I shared, because sometimes girls or women uh, they actually worry about their career. So I would like to say that comeback is possible.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
there's a time, because I am an example that comeback is possible. And I was not actually prepared, or I didn't plan this in advance that I'll be taking this uh, uh, such a long break for 5 years. Uh, because my mother was also working, and then she was a government teacher, so she never took this break. So I was always confident that yeah, I also can manage, but it can't happen with our sort of job.
Setup. Mhm.
Yeah. So because see, once we join some organization, we have to give 100% to that, like,
And then there will be
commitment.
field work and
Because
everything.
yeah, we cannot compromise even there. So you have to go to field, you have to travel. So then I thought it's better I stay with my child. But I continued. I joined some like organization, did voluntary work. So it was not complete disconnect. I was part of this, and then we shifted to Djibouti. So there I got a very good opportunity. So it was a like big comeback for me, because then I could work with FAO, World Bank, and there was this Djiboutian Center for Education and Research. So I was there, placed there at the Marine Biology Lab. So I think Djibouti gave me a very good opportunity, and they valued my skill, because
Hmm.
so that's why.
That's important. And
Yeah.
you also tell us how to keep oneself busy. I think when because I also get to see many women and they seek counseling, and most of the time, what research tells us is the fallout when women are unable to bounce back into the career.
Yes.
Of course, they have to decide, and the thing is, the family time is a time bound decision, and it's an activity time bound, whereas professional career will keep on going. So there is no the time or best time. Of course, you may think in your head that today is my best time, but you don't know whether the best time is awaited or best time has passed or today. So that way, it is always family time becomes, and also it's a shared decision. It's not one's own decision like the career is, but there are ways to engage, which is, I think, our current generation is much better placed as compared to my time. I recall, if you're
Yeah.
not doing anything, you're not doing anything. And I think as a society, we are not yet ready to understand that doing research is also work. Reading and writing is also work. that
Yes, yes, that's
that is
also
now
work. Yeah.
growing, that is now
Yeah.
growing. Because I mean, I'm on public platform, but I am not embarrassed to share that for a long, long time, even my family members used to think and tell me that go and do some work, because I love to be in my own pace and do my
Exactly,
own work.
exactly.
But that research is work is still not considered as a work. And I always have loved to take work which gives me enough freedom to explore my time, and family time, and of course doing profession. And that brings me to actually the next question. And because you have already walked that path, bounced back beautifully, and I recall I met you at IIT Hyderabad. No, at Azim Premji. That time you
Yeah,
were already executive
university.
director at
Right.
Saki Waters, and I think following my tenure at Saki Waters, you joined as an executive director. You have been in the leadership position now, right from your master's course, I will say, when you led these movements, held these wetland communities. But now you are also in a very prominent position and are a known scientist in the country. My question to you is about the missing or not substantial number of leading women in our sector. What do you think is the reason? uh, is it about not having enough people in enough women in the water sector or biodiversity or water allied sector, let me say it that way, that we have less number of leadership? Or is there something more, because there may be many women in the serving part, but not many women make it to the leadership, because leadership is a pyramidal position? What is your experience about it?
Yeah, so Mansi, I would again connect it with the role women play in
Hmm.
society. It's like you also play, along with productive, you also play a reproductive role.
Hmm.
So I think that one thing, because when I got married, my career was not impacted by my marriage, because in
Hmm.
fact I was for 4 months I was in Pretoria, because we have this Sakiwater's cabinet network. So I was sent to cabinet headquarter. I worked with them, and there actually I developed this. Revive this linkages. So I feel that if I was a mother that time, I would have not
Hmm.
gone there, because then it was not possible. And that's the actually reality, because we play this reproductive role, and that is,
Hmm.
that happens when you are in your mid career.
Hmm.
So because you lose these important years, because maybe if I was
Yes.
working for those 5 years, I would have been in even much like better situation. Means I'm grateful that whatever I'm doing right now, that is also blessing.
Yeah,
But
but the
what,
time lost, you mean professionally, the time
yeah,
lost is lost. I mean, we have to
but
be very,
yeah, professionally
uh,
it's lost, and
yes.
maybe for me it was possible, but if you are in some other sector, maybe that matters a lot because you lose that time because this time and your experience because you always compete with your like male counterparts.
Yes, that
You
is
lose
another
it.
problem,
Yeah.
actually.
So, Mansi, actually, why we have lesser women at leadership position because there's lesser enabling,
Yes.
like enabling conditions for women to reach those places because these things are time bound because
Mm,
you are always in that's why like we are in dilemma whether we give preference to family or career because that's the time where even you are at the peak of your career and then when you leave and not everyone is welcoming because here
and that is so true.
yeah,
I wish our society was considering motherhood as a professional work and in fact get double
exactly.
benefit because you learn the art of management.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So we have also experienced that with our SAWA fellows because we also
Mm,
have this SAWA fellowship program.
yes.
We have this master's and doctoral program in integrated water resources management where we also give, now we are giving 100% fellowship to women. Earlier it was like 50%. So we have seen women join. We want to create role model. That's why we have this program. Women join, but especially like young women join. But after some time when they get married, somehow they continue. But once they have this motherhood, then most of them they leave the job. So that happens especially when they are working in private sector. Still,
Mm.
that doesn't happen with government employees. Like that's also there. That shows that your family is ready to support you if you are in a like employment
More
wise.
permanent job.
Yeah, so they value it. So that's
Mm.
also there. But in our
That's a
sector,
very
there are not
interesting viewpoint.
many.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's there because you won't hear anything from a government employee, female government employee, that she has resigned from her job because of that's very rare. That's
Yeah.
very rare. But in 90% cases, when women are working in private sector, they resign. They resign
Because
because
of probably pressure or whatever reason.
pressure and also like family also don't value it much
Hmm, hmm,
when you
hmm,
work
hmm,
in a
hmm.
private sector. They
I
feel that
think
okay,
yes, you are right.
become
Especially
parent.
in middle
Yes.
class and the
Yeah,
struggling family, they prefer government jobs. And
yeah, exactly. So they feel okay because I've seen even in IT sector, women they resign
hmm.
and they
Actually, we are talking water, but what we are discussing is across the society in all
across the
sectors.
society. So what I always believe that see we are actually uh, it's all our efforts are one-sided because uh, um, yeah, so it's all one-sided because one side we are working towards women empowerment, but at the
Hmm.
same time we are not actually working with the society because that is more important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for example, you have this uh, beti par what is
Beti bachao, beti
beti
padhao,
bachao
beti
beti
bachao.
bachao, but then you don't work with the
But
beta.
बेटी को काम मत दो तो क्या फायदा?
नहीं काम भी और for बेटी see that beta also should actually be ready to accept this change
Absolutely. So you
because it's
nailed it.
always one-sided. You work on women empowerment, but at the same time, you don't work on sensitization of men that they
Hmm.
should support or family. So I think it's equally important to work with the families and men because otherwise it will only have like create more conflicts, clashes,
Actually, gender
both in
conflict is
family.
increasing within the
Yeah,
families. You are so right.
yeah.
And on a lighter note, I want to share with you that many people have told me, why don't you do men in water? And I said, I will do, but this is a research and I want to close it with women in water.
No, we actually did that because when we were working for this Crossing Boundaries project, we also did this gender water equity partnership
Hmm.
this training, GWET, Gender
Hmm.
Water Equity Training Program. So those training programs for mainly men,
Hmm.
because so that even within an institution or organization, you create that kind of enabling
Hmm.
environment so that women can work and flourish, because that is lacking in our approach. We always talk about women empowerment, but we don't talk about men empowerment in that case, because they should also be empowered enough to handle such, because there are ego clashes and there are many things in the society. So I think that's more important. You can educate like girl child, but what about that boy? You
Yeah,
also have at the same time.
yeah. Today, India stands with more women educated than men in the country and
Exactly, but
in the world
they don't.
also.
Yeah,
We
they
have
don't.
highest number of educated women and educated unemployed women in the world.
Exactly. So men are or families. I mean, I'm saying families also. Family also include elderly women because they also compare. They also there's also this kind of ego cash. So I'm using word family,
Yes.
society. Family and society should also be actually sensitized, educated.
So well put.
Yeah.
So well put. And I think the more the woman progresses, the conflict in the family also increases, not only in the
Exactly,
peer group,
exactly.
but
Because
also in the family.
yeah,
Because
families.
accepting women leadership is also something we have to understand.
Yeah. So same happens even in your organizational or institutional
Yes,
setup, because not every man is actually ready to accept a woman as a boss, because we still have those
absolutely.
stereotype that okay, women can be
Even women have that
learned.
mindset.
Yes, exactly. And then there's this comparison between two generation that, okay, we were at home, then why are you going? Okay, why should we take care of your children? So all sort is happening because we are just working
And
on
that is
women.
also keeping us behind. So well put. And but
And
leadership,
yeah,
Jayati, is a genderless role. I mean, you
exactly.
are in a leadership position now, and you know it so well that your gender is not coming in the way of your leadership.
Exactly. I don't, because I never look at the timing. I know that
Absolutely.
if it is a workshop, I should work overnight. So I work. So that's personal commitment also. But that can happen only if I have supportive family or
Yes.
like security, safety. A lot of other things are also there. Then only women can actually climb this step and reach leadership position. And I, at the same time, I also have one thing that why actually women are always judged or are under pressure. Because you told you were actually about to ask this superwoman thing. Why we feel that staying at home and working household code is like lesser value. You have to value that's equally important. So
Now
I
United
feel.
Nations has given a value to it, a
Yeah,
monetized
seriously,
gender.
that's equally. We should value it. We should actually remove this blockage that going out and earning money is only work. That only through that only you can
That's
prove
what
your
I'm saying.
value.
No, motherhood should be considered as a professional work.
Yeah,
Simply put, the
motherhood, home
most highly
management,
managed work is motherhood.
exactly, and household. That you have, because it's what you do outside also, like all these basic code. But I think women also should not feel inferior. They should, they
That is
themselves should
another
actually
serious
handle.
problem which we have to get out of it. And trust me, we are making this series for the very reason that it is okay if you go through it, because we all go through it.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay if you are not working. You won't believe I was happy at home with taking care of my child, because it gave me such a like relaxed phase, and I was
And
enjoying.
you were working.
Yeah,
Actually, you were working
yeah, I
because you
was
were
working.
raising a good
I was
citizen.
enjoying. But
And
at
you
the
were
same
raising a
time,
good citizen. That is
yeah,
important.
that's important because I was able to teach my son and give him that kind of exposure, read scientific books for him or knowledge books for him, play with him. That also is important. And so that's what I feel, that it's very important that we also value whatever is done at home, because that without that,
Absolutely.
yeah. And another thing, it slipped my mind.
No issues. I know these are very emotional matters actually, but let me move to the next question here. Because I was talking about leadership, I want to just stick to that question and ask you about some leadership skills and traits. And I'm sure you have already mentioned some of your teachers whom are inspired about, but I'm sure there are many other people who have inspired you, and you are also inspiration to many people. There are certain skill sets or traits in a good leader irrespective of gender. And there are certain skill sets which can be nurtured because at least at Saki Waters, it is a very major project, a mother project at Saki Waters. What, according to you, are some skill sets which a leader must have? And out of them, some skills which can be trained to a person. I'm asking this question because as you are also part of Wiki Water Resource Council and my term has already come to an end, I think we took 4 years to understand each other. You are still in, as you can see, we have not completed all of us. I think the next step we have to take at Wiki Water Resource Council is coming together with people like you and your organizations and all. Wiki Water Resource Council may start collaborating to do some kind of leadership programs for women and expand the base. What is your experience about who is a good leader? What characteristics and what are the things that can be trained?
So one thing, I feel one good characteristic means I will give it like for me that's the most important is leading by example.
Hmm.
Because when you lead by example, you actually create a deeper impact. So that is one thing. Um, because I have come across many mentors, so I was like, so that is one thing. Because how to means they're like how to define that. Because for in my case, like I prefer leading by example. So, for example,
Of
if I'm
course.
giving some, yeah, work to my subordinate, so I make sure that I'm staying back late. I'm also working, like contributing equal amount of this, and I'm accessible. Yeah, that is also, I think, also one of the
Yes.
traits that you have to be accessible, approachable. Uh, and I feel that once a like true leader, when means he or she goes through this vast experience, like they also start like begin from the
Yes.
scratch, and they also actually go through all these experience. So I think a leader should also have empathy based on his or her
Absolutely. This
own
is the most
experience.
used word by all the women here, right?
Yeah, because for example, I'm giving my case. So because I have gone through all that, I have taken break, I have come back, I have worked in the field. So I understand those challenges. So someone who is working with me, so I make sure that they don't face the similar kind of struggle. For example, we have Aradhana. So when she joined, because she also had a long break, motherhood break. So when she joined Saki Water, so she was a bit in dilemma because her home is very far, like some 30 kilometers. So like commuting takes a lot of time. So when she joined and initially she developed backache and all that, so she thought of resigning because for us it's like office desk based job. So then I said, no, don't. Then I gave my example and then I said, okay, I have gone through all these difficulties, so I don't want you to suffer. So I allow her to work from home. So she has to work only once in a week. So I think this is what is expected from a leader that because I'm sure no one's journey is smooth.
Yes.
They all go through different kind of struggles. Like it could be different type, but everyone
Yes.
has to go. It's a like life journey. Everyone goes. But then what is the difference? Like some people will think that, okay, if I have gone through such difficulties or struggle, so other person should also go through it. Then they should
That's the
learn
old
their
Sas
lesson.
Bahu, old
Yeah,
Sas Bahu
that happens.
syndrome. It should
And
not
but at the
continue.
same time, the good leader will see that, okay, whatever I have gone through, my struggle, the other person should not
Should at least
face
reduce
same.
the time frame and should reduce the struggle. It
Yeah,
should not evaporate
exactly.
completely.
So even for Kabindra, because when I joined Saki Waters, I was at the same phase stage, because I was also done with one little final draft and I joined, and he was also. So I saw that how much I struggled, because for me it was first time I was joining like as a professional. So I could have actually asked my seniors that can I work from home and finish my work, but then I was very new in this sector as a professional, so I didn't have courage to reach out. It's not like they
Mm.
were not good; they were good, but it was my own assumption, hesitation as a like young girl. So I make sure that others don't have to, like for example, Kabindra was in Sikkim for 3 months because he had to submit his thesis. So I allowed that. Okay, you work from Sikkim, so I feel that everyone goes through this kind of struggle, so they should make sure that they also support. So
Very well,
I
well
think
put. So
very,
understanding. A person has to be very
yeah,
understanding of
they should
their
have
environment.
empathy. They should, yeah, see that whatever struggle they have seen, at least others shouldn't.
Very well put. That brings me to the next question about networks and councils and associations. It are different names. People have platforms. You are also part of Wiki Water Resource Council, so I don't need to explain to you or otherwise. And I'm sure you are part of other council association and all. What do you think, especially people like us as well as younger generation, you should really expect from these kind of associations? Does it matter? Has it helped you in not only this but other councils and associations? What is the give and take you think they can offer to building your professional career?
See, I think it's in fact more relevant in today's time when you have this kind of flexibility. You can work remotely, you can work from home. Because back in my time when I had to resign, there was no such options available. But still, I think networking helped. It was not like formal network, but then
Mm.
informal networks also helped, because that actually
Yes.
because I was connected with everyone uh,
Yes.
through Facebook or LinkedIn. I never felt that I was there was a disconnect.
Disconnect from the work. Yes.
Yeah. So if an informal network can actually help you so much, then definitely a formal network can do like wonderful things to you, because definitely these networks actually, that's why like even at Saki Waters we believe in supporting network, because networks
Yes.
are very important in this kind of area, and especially for women it's very important, because
Mhm.
uh, you have to go through that phase. It's not like for you or me, everyone has to go through that phase, and then these networks definitely help. They can share, they can actually offer you different kind of opportunities, they can offer you
You
resources
can
of
volunteer.
mentoring, volunteering. And sometimes like for example, sometimes if someone is in confusion, because it's a big confusion and it's
Yes.
reality, harsh reality, you have to take decision. And see, women are not see, I cannot go to everybody and say that, okay, I want to plan a baby now, what should I do? See, I'll hesitate. These
Yes.
are like very sensitive questions. So if you have women network, it becomes very easy. I can always reach out to my senior. I can see
Especially coming back will become easier as
coming
well.
back will become, and taking this decision will also become, because many times people
What's the right
hesitate to,
time and all?
yeah, they
Yes.
fear, that okay, if we don't work for 2 years or 3 years, because I would say that both things are important, equally important. Family is also important and your career is also important. So you should not even sacrifice your family time.
Either.
If you, yeah,
Either.
either. Yeah, because see, that window is very narrow for women to take this
Mm.
decision when they reach, for example, it's around 35. So when you
Mm.
reach 35, you have to actually decide that, okay, this or that. Both side you are at like, your clock is ticking. So I feel that way, in that sense, these networks are very important. They can give you mentoring support, emotional, psychological, uh, mental,
You
because
can write, sit at home, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. See, because we have seen these cases, not only this, but during COVID, we have seen that people were in isolation that has impacted their mental health, and still we have this stigma. No one can talk about this mental health, but that's real. That's because
Mm.
it's just like anything else in your body that can also get impacted. So you have to normalize. So I think this kind of um, formal and informal network are very important, especially for women. And yeah, definitely, as you said, that comeback becomes easy because you are, see, for example, I've taken a break and I'm in touch with you. You know that I am like talented or skilled or deserving candidate. And if I'm in
Absolutely.
constant touch with you,
Especially for
definitely.
young women, it becomes a good idea. And you can keep writing about it. I mean, formally, informally, social
Exactly,
media.
exactly. Yeah.
Actually, it is now much better now that you
Keeps
can
you
write in
engaged also.
blogs. You
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It,
you can
it,
volunteer.
like it doesn't allow you to get to depression because
And also, it never, you don't even have to feel that you are disconnected. You are constantly connected.
yeah.
So well put by you. Actually,
And
I
also,
never
yeah, so
realized
not
the role
on,
of social
yeah,
media here.
yeah.
Mm.
So not only them, but even for professionals like me, it helps like these kind of networks because we can share our resources. If we can trust each other, we can share our
Yes.
resources. And this is actually an era of
And
collaboration.
we
You
have
have
been
to,
doing both of us for that
yeah.
matter.
So you have to move from like competition to collaboration because that's the era.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
another
So
thing about women leadership also. And
yes.
because Vicky Water Resource Council was actually based on sisterhood syndrome or
Exactly.
sisterhood approach, and not really that old school Sas Bahu where if I have gone through, you have to also go through.
Yes.
And it is a good time to also share that no, almost 25% of the council members are in that time zone of their life, and
Yes.
they should be really taking advantage of this network. And we have some seasoned players like you and many others who have these mantras for life, and I think that's what's a good makes it a good mix and all.
Yeah, so that's what we shouldn't be ashamed of what like because see we talk about men and women equality and all that, but see at some level there is a difference. So that's why you need different kind of approach for both. You
Absolutely.
cannot have the same approach because men they don't have to do this kind of sacrifice. Means I don't want to call it sacrifice, but they don't have to go through all this, and that's the reality, and we have to acknowledge and appreciate it. See, I remember when I was in this motherhood break. So I remember that it was around 2017. So I because I was in touch with everyone. So once I emailed Sarah that okay, now my son is like 3 4 years old, so I want to actually get into regular job. So before like saying anything, she actually congratulated me, appreciated that okay, I could spend that time with my child. So that's what we need. You know, we
Yes.
need each other's support. We need each other's like yeah. Sometimes you need approval. Sometimes you need to hear
Yes.
those words that yeah,
That's why you
you
need
took a
mentors
right
also.
decision. Yeah, you did a right. You took a right decision because even in family, for example, my family. Because my father was very particular about my education. So he was the one who actually forced me to do PhD. So I'm thankful that because of him, I finished my PhD early because I see once you join a job, it's a struggle to do both like your PhD and this. And so I'm fortunate that I before I joined the job, I finished my PhD. So he wanted me to do this. My parents wanted me to because they made sure that before I get married, only after I complete my PhD. So when they saw that I was not working, it was painful for them. Not for me as a person, to be honest, it was not that painful for me, but it was more painful for them seeing their daughter not doing anything, sitting at home.
Yeah, the idea of not doing is
Yeah,
very, very strange. And I have gone through all my
so
life, to
somehow
be
they
honest.
were
I
thinking,
don't do anything now as well.
yeah,
So,
no, for them, they were feeling bad because they were thinking that I'm feeling bad. Because
And the idea of work is that you get ready and go out of the house at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and you come back 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's
so
the
for
idea
them,
of
yeah, because I was, so that's what, like, when this opportunity came, they said, okay, you should join. We will join. You will come, because that time my son was also, when I joined, he was like, he was in grade 4, so he needed someone at home. So they said, okay, you now it's a peak time. You have spent enough time. But before that, I was working in Djibouti, but there it was flexible because he used to leave at 8 o'clock and come back by 6 o'clock and come back by 4. And I was doing my job 8 to 4. But that kind of job was not possible in Mumbai because we don't have that kind of flexibility,
flexibility.
especially in metros, no? Because
I think something is changing now in our society, and I hope it changes for good and for better also, to allow more flexibility to work, not only for women, but more considerate about women, but also for men. And accept and appreciating a woman who is going through motherhood phase, because that should not be punished in profession. That just because you went to the motherhood phase should not be punished in the profession.
exactly,
I think
exactly.
this is a major shift that is required in the society.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that I was lucky enough to be in Djibouti because there they didn't look at my gap. But at the same time, I had applied somewhere in India, and that HR person, she asked me, "Oh, you have 4 years gap." Then I was like, "Yeah, I have 4 years gap, but that 4 year doesn't make me uh, lose all my memory, right? I
Yes,
still have those
absolutely.
skills, so
You
it
know, when I
difficult to
realized
come.
this, yeah, when I realized this, actually, I started a scholarship fellowship, which I still run from 2003, because the way people see the gap, and that is when I started a responsible citizen fellowship, so that somebody does not have to tell to the society that the person is unemployed. So then they can do the research of their choice. The fellowship is still on, by the way, and I offer it to people who come to me. It is not announced and promoted, and it is just to escape that idea of I am not doing anything. So then I encourage people to come with their own idea of research, and I will support them. And
Yeah,
then you can use certificate, you can ask my mentorship. It is so important to have this, and I really wish to start this in Wiki Water Resource
yeah,
Council.
yeah.
So
We must do
probably
that.
we must do
So,
that. And Saki Waters is running that kind of fellowship. So
yes,
my question to you is then, what kind of activities do you think now? Wiki Water Resource Council is a very well established council. What do you think? What all activities we can take up, especially for women leadership or in water sector or water allied sectors? What kind of activities? Of course, Saki Water can actually lead some of the activities and take Wiki Water Resource Council along. But what are your ideas?
so I think we already discussed that, but if it's specifically about Wiki, so I would say that I think it needs more visibility and sorry, it
Get
needs
some
to
water
be
if
more
you like.
active because I know that there are some Wiki members in Hyderabad, but then
Yes.
I don't know.
Actually, you are doing means Wiki Water Resource Council is doing. It's just that how you use
Yeah.
it.
So I know there are some members, but I don't know who are there. So maybe that kind of uh,
Hmm.
like chapter wise
Yes.
interactions can help. For example, Nivedita is here, and I think Nivedita, no, she's here.
Yes.
So I remember like last year
And
somewhere.
we
I
brought
think
all of you together in the water festival.
yes, yes, exactly. But after, so I saw that they have done some workshop on lake. I think you were there,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I was not aware of that lake. I would have
Hmm.
actually loved to go there
Hmm.
and contribute.
Hmm.
So I think if we can reconnect, like at least we like
Hmm. So we need to
uh,
find out a way to
city,
reconnect.
yeah, because I understand like if we are in different cities, we cannot go for like
Yeah, but within a
chapter.
city, within a
Within the
chapter.
city, we can see that how um like we can connect like in a
Mm.
much better way. And because I don't know, I
This
just
will be
want
something for the new president, the new arriving president,
yeah. So
to
I
be
think they
honest.
need you need to strengthen these chapters, city-wise chapter.
Very well put, and very well taken, because this is also being echoed from most of the past members, that
Yeah.
we have to strategize how to strengthen.
Yeah, because
But
then participation will
yes,
be
absolutely.
yeah more if
Because it took
like
me all,
within the
yeah,
city. Yeah, within the
it
city.
took me already 4 years to know all of you, to be honest, because when I took up the presidency of the Water Resource Council, I barely knew 5 or 6 people.
No, no, see,
So it
I
has to
also
have a foundation.
understand. No, no, I understand the challenges also. I'm just suggesting because I
We
also
have
know
to
the
hear
challenges is,
suggestions.
you know, we when we meet, we say all these things, okay, we'll meet and all that. But I know everyone is loaded with their work. They are like already occupied. So I think sometimes it becomes like overwhelming to come
Yes.
that, okay, we'll
That's
meet.
why,
Yeah.
yes.
I understand that also,
But
but
we have to
that
strategize
yeah,
somehow.
you
Yeah.
can we
Because
can
I think the base is formed now, so there can be next step taken, because it is important that we get to know all of us.
yeah. So
That
at least
brings
I
me to
know
the,
that
yeah.
who are
Yeah, go
in
ahead.
Hyderabad and what are their expertise.
Absolutely.
So if
Yes.
I do some activities, I can invite them. I would.
Absolutely. That's the whole idea. Yeah. That actually brings me to the last question, and it is a message which we want to later use as a small 1 minute clip. And a message to the younger generation why they should join water sector or water allied sector. I mean, I love biodiversity now, and I wish I was studying them than humans. But of course, I'm slowly learning through you. What's your message for younger generation? And it has to be really within 1 minute. Why they should join?
Yeah. So see, the most important part is like now we talk about means you want like because water is important or women are like better man.
Anybody.
Yeah. So
Why we require more professionals in water sector?
yeah,
Let me
we
put it
need
in
more
different
water
way.
professionals, women water professionals in the sector.
Any.
Definitely. It's like both way.
Yes.
Sector needs you and you need the sector. Like it's,
Yes.
or you should go to the sector. It's both way. It's not like one way thing. So one thing is now, like we are talking about these uh, three planetary like crises. So all the three crises are closely related to water,
Yes.
whether it's climate change or biodiversity loss or pollution, environmental degradation. They
Yes.
all are directly. Even UN has
Yes.
now like has actually endorsed that
Finally
yeah,
acknowledged.
yeah, acknowledge that climate change crisis is essentially a water crisis because
Yes.
all your impacts are felt around water, whether it's like extreme events or your sea level rise or anything else, droughts, floods, anything, everything is around water. So you actually, if you're passionate, you want to bring change in the society, I think water is something should be your entry point. It's very essential to talk about water because not everyone is talking about water, but nothing can happen without it. So that way it's very important. If you are passionate and you are looking for some meaningful or creative career, you should consider water. So that is one reason. And second, yeah, sector needs women because we need that kind of wisdom because women are not just victim, but they are also like someone who can manage water much better because managing water needs certain kind of sort of sensitivity. So that sensitivity, that delicate this thing, no, it comes because we play both reproductive and productive role. So I think we have what, and then for ages, like women are known to be better water management, and the kind of understanding you need, you need for the sector, like you know the nurturing nature of water, the life inside in the water. So I think more women professionals are needed. That's why we have this course, like this
Mm.
program. So it is aimed at like both bringing interdisciplinarity in the way water is managed across South Asia, but also to make this male-dominated sector more gender inclusive. So both
Yes.
men and women are required, and then you have see. What I'm talking is like when we started this initiative, that was in 2005, but definitely now situation is much better,
Much better.
much better. Because now you see in Jal Jeevan Mission and ministry also, you see a lot of women in leadership position. So
Yes.
I, at the same time, like I appreciate, like we have role model, it's possible. So any women who wants to use their wisdom, which is like they are gifted, so they should come to water
Very good.
sector.
What that brings me to the sub question of the last. What simple behavioral change at workplace we should inculcate in all of us that woman feels more comfortable, more confident, and more belonging to the sector.
Yeah, so one is we have to break this stereotype that, see, other than your reproductive role, I think gender is something created by us. They both,
Hmm.
men,
It's a
women.
social
Yeah,
construction.
yeah. So it's constructed by us. So I think one, this thing is like everyone has to acknowledge and appreciate that factor that there's no difference. Second is one side we are saying there's no difference, but at the same time there's some difference also. So you need to also appreciate and acknowledge. You shouldn't become gender neutral.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to be gender sensitive. So one side, yeah, you have to accept that okay, both have like equal wisdom and then their own this thing. And in fact, men, women, they can complement each other. They have their own
Absolutely.
strength.
That's the most important part in
Yeah.
women leadership.
We have to actually acknowledge that. It's not like we should always be anti men or what they say.
No,
So
not
I'm
that's
not
not
like
I.
that
Because I have been
extreme.
told actually for this series also, and I'm trying to say that this is just a simple research, and nobody is stopping anybody to do a research on men in water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, see, what I feel is that, see, they both have their own strength.
Yes,
Everyone is unique. Everyone has strength, expertise, skills. So why not appreciate and acknowledge that, and then complement each other?
yes,
I think that would be the like perfect world when we start
wonderful.
doing that. So,
To yes, nice to contribute to that perfect world. Actually, we are doing our little drop of work. That is a droplet.
no, no, that's wonderful. That's amazing, the kind of work you are doing. And no one in India has done that. You have like, it's like all, you have this, it's not drop by drop, you're creating an ocean.
Yeah, it's constellation,
Yeah.
constellation
So
now.
it has now become like an ocean.
Ocean, yes. We have a water
Yeah.
bank now, also at
Yeah.
Wiki Water Resource Council, but also at W4W. That actually brings me to all my questions are over, but I give you one last opportunity. If you have any question for me, you may ask. Otherwise, I'll do the formal vote of thanks.
No, I don't have any specific question for you because we keep talking, so I don't think
Yes,
anything is
it's
unanswered.
just a part of my research, so I
It
ask
was
you.
like only before we started, I had this question that what kind of question you are going to ask, but then you were a strict teacher. You said that you're not going to leak the paper, exam paper. So I
Yes,
was well,
no leakage of question
yeah.
paper.
So for me, it was like all because to be honest, like there have been this whole period has been very stressful. So I
I
knew
can
that there are like some videos, but to be honest, I couldn't find time to actually go through all those videos. So that's why I thought maybe I'll ask you. But then you were like a very strict examiner, so you said no.
Okay,
So,
so I take it as you don't have any question for me, and thank you so much, Jayati, for this enlightening interaction.
no, no,
I
I
was
loved
feeling,
it. I loved the
yeah, I
discussion.
was feeling the conversation was flowing like water, and I was so much happy to listen. And trust me, listening to all these 96 session has been one of my achievement as a Wiki Water Resource Council National President. I couldn't have asked more from this position, and it has given me immense knowledge, learning, and also so many people who are now we are bonded with each other, and the bond is of sisterhood. May you remain inspiration to others, and this such a great opportunity to learn your water endeavors. And I could see how you were flowing like water, your emotions were flowing, and I do hope you enjoyed this conversation too.
Yeah.
Do keep us informed about your water activities, and actually we are so closely connected with other sessions which we do. Here, we shall continue with our Monday munching and musing with water for every Monday, but not many Mondays anymore, because all our sessions until 100 is now confirmed. So we are not right now, no more looking for more speakers. Initially, it was a very hard task for me. You can imagine in 4 years, we could only do 96 sessions, which is not less, but it is not also enough if we count every week, but humanly possible. We made it. We are now inching towards 100. So you may follow us on our social media platform for regular updates, and hopefully we will see what we can do next, if we want to start men in water, or we actually want to take a year or two to write everything that we have learned, because it is actually a research which we have started. We have already started publishing paper out of it, and we hope that the coffee table book is also out soon. Thank you so much, Jayati. Please take care of yourself
Yeah.
and
Thank you so
stay
much.
strong
I
and keep
really,
inspiring us as you do.
yeah. So it's lovely. And then, yeah, as you said that flowing with water, yeah, actually that's one reason why I'm here, because it's not just a career, but I'm passionate about the work I
Yes,
do. It's so creative and rewarding. So, and thanks to like all of you out there for making it more creative, because that's why actually I love doing this biodiversity session, because that
yes,
one Wednesday used to actually give me that satisfaction that, okay, I'm doing something which is close to my heart. So
yes. And I love your sessions, to be honest, in Wednesdays for water.
so
Okay,
we are
we
happy
stay
that we
tuned
could
there.
restart it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Please
you
take
so
care.
much.
See you
Yeah,
soon.
you
Bye bye.
too.
Bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Bye.
Bye.